Welcome back to the altar. Today we're going to be talking about purity and waiting for marriage. The three of us have all had our own unique journeys with it, and we've definitely wrestled with it in some real ways. So we're going to have an honest conversation about what's hard, what's hopeful, and how God is meeting us in every bit of it.
So, where are we at with our journeys in this?
Who wants to start?
Not me.
She's like, not it. Yeah, we'll be honest, guys. This is going to be a stretchy conversation.
We're squirming in our chairs.
We're
well, these two are.
Yeah,
anyways.
Sophia's like, I'm ready. Let's go. The two of us are kind of like, ooh, this one feels edgy, but it's going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you start, Soph?
Yeah.
Well, I love purity, and I am very happily and excitedly waiting for marriage. I don't feel any sense of restraint. I don't feel any sense of oppression or
Beautiful.
suppression. I think purity has been one of the greatest gifts that God has given me, and I am just very joyfully walking this out.
Period.
Yeah.
Period. Okay. So I would say I am also walking out the path of purity and honestly feeling so excited about what that means for my life, what that means for my husband, what that means for my marriage. And it feels like a return to a promise that was written on my heart from the very beginning. Love it.
I didn't know you were going to say that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you guys want more context, 2 months ago, I left a relationship, and the first thing that the Lord had me feeling excited about and convicted in the moment I stepped out of that relationship was walking the path of purity.
That's so cool.
I know.
Like, God is so cool.
I know. Yeah. So
Wow.
it's not even a point of resistance. It's like pure excitement for what that means now. And getting to do that walk with him.
I feel like I'm at the point where, like, I haven't made any, I don't know, it's hard to say because I feel like my heart has been distorted towards wanting to do that because it feels exciting to just be in a relationship in a way that, like, is just, I don't know, just a love that, like, I haven't experienced before.
Yeah.
And I really think not having that sexual aspect of things really shifts the dynamic in your relationship. And just from my own experience with, like, I mean, we'll get into it, honestly. I'm like, how much can I say on here?
We're going to get into it.
If you're our parents, don't watch this episode, please.
I just put a disclaimer right from the beginning. Dad, walk away.
Put it down.
Put it down.
Yeah, stop right here if you're listening.
But also, if you want to learn something, you know?
I don't know, man.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe not from us.
Yeah, not.
No, but genuinely, okay, this is what I've been getting. I've been getting this feeling that, like, you could do it, but, like, just know that it'll be so much better if you don't. Like, that's what I'm getting, honestly. I feel like if I've been convicted of anything, it's that I know that by waiting, honestly, even, like, satisfaction levels will be way different because there will be a different bond.
Yeah.
And I think that's what excites me and entices me. I feel like I'm not in a situation where, like, I even have that in my mind right now because I have no desire. Like, to be honest, the thought of somebody touching me makes me want to throw up. Like,
Okay, I don't know if that is
Yeah.
healthy.
I'm like,
We might
that's
need to
where
dive
I'm
deeper
at.
into
We
that.
need to go into that one right there. What? We're going to have to go into that.
like just meaning in the sense of, like, somebody that's, like,
You're just not available right now.
I'm not, no, like, what I mean by that is, like, I'm not available for this casualness. I'm not available for, even just, like, like, I'm just, so I feel like God is shaping my heart. I feel like that's all I can say is God is, like, fine tuning my desire, which is all I've asked him to do.
Yeah.
Like, that's where my relationship with God right now is asking him to just change my desire around this.
Yeah.
Because,
Okay, so why don't we do this? I would love if we can first just kind of like define what we mean by purity and like what that actually means for us, what that looks like, how we've come to understand it. And then maybe we can kind of go into where you've been wrestling with it, Savannah, because I think that's going to actually open up a really honest and beautiful conversation for each of us and for our listeners as well. So
Okay, well, I have a great definition of purity because I actually looked it up.
Oh, period. I know she came prepared.
No, I did this like a few weeks ago because I was just curious. But when we call something pure, what we mean is that it has nothing added to it.
Okay.
It's just the original substance.
Okay.
Right? Like it's a metal term.
Yeah.
You know, if something has other metals added to it, it's impure versus if it's just silver, for example, then it's pure silver. So when we're talking about purity, it goes beyond the scope of sex.
Yeah.
Because it's talking about the way that you love and your heart posture. And what it's really saying is there's nothing added to it beyond the original substance.
Yeah.
And so if we know that our original substance is God's love, then purity is loving the way that God loves without anything added to it, without anything corrupting it, without anything decreasing the quality of it. That's what purity is really about.
Right.
And sex is an arena within that conversation.
Right. Right. Okay. Beautiful. I love that. Okay. So then based on that, because we are going to talk a lot about sex in this episode. I think that's the arena that we're mainly going to be addressing.
Yeah.
Do we want to maybe discuss a little bit more about kind of what shaped our first understanding of what sex was?
Yeah. And also what purity was.
What purity was. Yeah. What that meant.
Right.
And then we can kind of go into where we wrestled with that.
Well, this is what I'll say about my understanding of sex growing up. I don't feel like anyone ever taught me about sex. I think like my parents never sat me down and had a conversation with me about sex. All I ever learned was from songs and movies. For the longest time, I actually remember the moment I actually learned what sex was. For the longest time, I thought it was just like two people rolling around in bed together because that's what we see in the movies.
No, for real though, I think I had this conversation with you guys one time. I don't know who it was. I swear to God, until I was 12 years old, I used to think that, I think it was 12 or 14. I used to think that when a couple got married, God just knew, oh, they're married now. Let's give them a baby. Like, that's how I thought babies were created. No one was telling me anything. I was just like, well, God knows because they're husband and wife now. He sees it. So the next thing that happens from there is he gives them a baby, immaculate conception style, fully. I was like, yeah. So talk about no conversation happening in that arena whatsoever.
Yeah. And then I remember bringing the bringing the question to my grade 5 teacher who was teaching us about health and reproductive organs and all that.
Yeah.
And I was like, so I'm getting the egg and I'm getting the sperm, but like, how does the egg and the sperm, how do they meet? And she was like, well, penetration, and explained the whole thing to me. And I was like, what? Like, I was terrified. I was
it
like,
actually seems scary.
That seems terrifying.
Right.
And then a few years later, so I would have been around 11 years old at this point, I had my first actual exposure to sexual content, to pornography. I was at a sleepover with some friends, and I don't know why, but like one of the girls was like just pulled it up on her phone, and next thing you know, like a group of girls are huddled around a screen watching pornography together.
Yeah.
And I think the reason I wanted to bring this to the altar today is because, especially in the social media world that we live in the internet age, you know, our parents didn't have that.
Yeah.
Think about that for a minute. Our parents probably didn't have the same exposure to explicit content that we do because they didn't grow up with the internet. We were the first generation to grow up with that kind of access.
Yeah.
So they were unprepared. They didn't know.
Right.
But there's parents listening to this right now who you should know, on average, children are exposed to explicit content between the ages of 8 and 11.
Yeah.
Is that an actual stat?
That is an actual stat. And So we have to be having these conversations with our children early because it is an inevitability that they're going to get exposed to explicit content, and it's going to teach them something about sex and intimacy that you may not want them to walk with. You may want them to have a healthier, more loving, more godly education around what sex is supposed to be, because I didn't get that.
Yeah.
And, you know, being a young girl, being exposed to that, something clicked, something happened in me, and I continued to watch it on my own, and that turned into like a 15-year addiction to pornography and masturbation, which gave me a significant education around what sex is, at least what I was taught it was. And I didn't really realize what it was doing to me until I had boyfriends say things like, "Did you learn that from porn?" And I was like, I mean, probably, yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Is that not like how it usually happens?
Right.
That's a whole conversation for another day, but that was my education around sex. And so when I was 16 years old, I didn't really have an adversity to it. I was just like, oh, this is just what people do. It's for pleasure. I reached this age, like it's time to lose the virginity. And it didn't feel like a serious thing. It didn't feel like something that was sacred.
Yeah.
It just felt like the thing that you do when you reach a certain
interesting
age.
because, you know, I didn't feel like that. I actually did feel like it was sacred.
Yeah, I never had that.
I think when I was like, I guess it was like something that you do when you have, like, I saw it as something you do when you have that bond. So I think like my heart posture towards it wasn't necessarily incorrect. Like I think from the beginning I knew the sacredness of it.
Right.
Because I very much did like my first interaction was with a partner that I was dating.
Right.
And like it wasn't right away. It wasn't just like we're dating, let's go for it. Like
that wasn't the entry point into intimacy.
I waited till I felt this like safety and true like love. Like it was actually when I told him that I loved him.
Right.
Was when I felt, so it was more of a, you do this when you love somebody.
Right. Right.
So there still was a sacredness to it, but it wasn't a like, oh, okay, you know, the purity conversation wasn't something at all that I was, if anything, I thought it was prude. I thought it was like, that's weird.
Yeah. I don't think I even knew people like actually waited for marriage, like for real.
No, for real. I didn't trust that they did.
I was like, that doesn't happen.
I didn't trust that anybody did. I thought that was a full-on facade.
Yeah.
Like, y'all are lying.
I literally, nobody even uttered the word abstinence around me until like my mid-20s.
This is the thing. I actually believe that would have been a path I pursued if it was something that was taught to me from early on. Because similar to you, Savannah, like, I feel like I always had the heart posture for it. You know, my first experience with sex was with a partner that I loved. We were young. We were in high school. There was that innocence. There was that purity in a sense that was part of it. And our first experience had happened after months of building intimacy with one another, where it was almost like something we got to experience for the first time together. We got to explore together. There was awkwardness, there was laughter. Like it was truly playful and innocent and so much, like so full of love. And it's that experience that actually set a standard in my life that really never allowed me to fully fall into casual hookup culture. Like that paled in comparison to what I experienced the first time. And you know, as I've started to come deeper into my walk with purity now and the choice to really wait for marriage, there's also a part of me that knows like that within the safety and the covenant of marriage would be such a beautiful experience. Yeah. Like the commitment of lifelong with someone where you get to go on that journey together. You get to experience those first times together. Like it just, there's something about that speaks to my heart in such a beautiful way. And so had I known the significance of waiting for marriage before, had I had the education around it, the conversation around it, the language for it, I really believe that would have been a path that I chose. Because for me, stepping into sex was never a byproduct of lust. I didn't find that in my first relationship. I was lusting after my boyfriend where I needed it. I didn't feel like I needed to scratch an itch, or like there was no part of me that was like, I don't know if I can say this, like, you know, just horny, like, just like, you know what I'm saying? Like there was no part of me that was like, I must have, like, I didn't know that. I didn't even know that. I didn't have the language for it. I didn't have the experience for it. It wasn't until I started going there that it started to develop, because then, you know, I started exploring other avenues of like, okay, what's sex about? And, you know, you throw all of these other conversations and opinions into the mix, but inherently it wasn't there.
Right. It's like a monster that needs to be fed.
It needs to be fed.
And then it gets stronger.
Exactly.
And then it gets louder. Yeah.
What brought me into that experience with my partner at the time was two things. It was genuinely the love and curiosity of like wanting to explore that with them, but it was also being fed by the backbone of this is something you do when you've been with someone for a while. Like it was purely being initiated by the understanding of like, okay, well, you've been dating for X amount of time. You should do this now. Like that's something you get to experience when you're in a long-term relationship with someone. And so looking back on that now, like I understand that I had the desire for it from the beginning. Like I know I had the heart posture for it. And if it was being guided in the right way, there's a world where I would have chosen to that from the start. And
well, I think the biggest piece is like, you know, why it's important, which I know we'll get into. But because again, I think when you're growing up, the perspective, you know, the conversations that people had is like, that's weird. Like, why would you not? Like, you're weird for not doing that. It's human nature. It's like we're sexual beings. We like the those are the conversations.
Yeah, not to mention I was a high achiever and I found pride in the fact that I was the first in my friend group to go there.
Right.
Straight up.
It's like there was
there was a chip on my shoulder. Like I didn't boast about it, but there was a world where I was like, whoa, this is so cool that I was the first one to have that experience. And because of that too, there was no conversation happening around it.
It makes
I didn't know.
Feel like this, like I am now.
You're an adult.
Yeah.
You're an adult.
It's a rite of passage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's like we want adulthood when we don't have the spiritual maturity to carry
it. Period.
Yeah. How about, I mean, we talked a bit about your perception of purity, right? And how it's just kind of seen as like something weird and unnatural.
Yeah. Or not even really talked about. Like my only experience of purity, this isn't even purity, but the only real, I would say like impression around the idea of potentially preserving sex for later on in life came from my parents being like, you better not be doing that.
Yeah.
It was more of a texture. And that happened only one time. We did not talk about this at all.
Right.
So there was a lack of conversation that was happening altogether on both ends.
Yeah.
About what sex is meant for, what happens when you have sex, like all of that, the education around sex itself, the advocacy for purity. It was more so just, it was a dirty little secret. It was a dirty little secret and everyone does it and you know everyone does it, but don't talk about it.
Right.
So walking into purity or walking into abstinence now, what do you think has been like the hardest part of it for you? And like, what have you been wrestling with personally?
I think the more I think about it, I think it's my own beliefs around it. I think it's going back to those original judgments that I've had about waiting. And because when I think about it, I'm like, is it really about the other person? Because my heart has been changing where like, I want to marry a Christian. Like I want to marry somebody who puts God first. And if I'm looking for that person, then they're going to already be on that path. Yeah. So that fear is starting to, originally it was the fear of, well, how am I going to find a partner that like is going to be okay with that?
Right.
They're going to think I'm weird. How am I going to tell them that I don't want to do that, you know? And
in this culture, in this economy,
and like, are they going to think that's like, there's something wrong with me? And that's what it started as. But I think now as I'm sitting here and I'm reflecting on it, I think it's really the only hesitations I have are my own beliefs around like that I'm still like working through. Like, is like that it's weird.
Boring.
It's weird that it's, and then also if you think about like, I think in our culture, if we watch shows, like all these shows that we watch, all those intimate moments, all those moments where it's like, I love you and you're expressing that,
Yeah.
it's straight into sex.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's
Yeah.
like every form of intimacy, like true intimacy where they get to that point of like, I love you, they go right into sex.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's like the way my brain has kind of been like wired around it.
Yeah.
Is that is what that intimacy level means. And it's like, how do we reach that intimacy level if that's not there?
Well, here's what I want to just say, because I think this is a very important foundation to set. Your sexual desire is good.
Good. Yeah.
Right.
Like, something I used to believe about Christianity and about religion is that they think that sex is shameful or dirty or bad.
Right. Only a means to conceive a child. And
Right.
then,
But what I have learned is that they hold sex in such a high regard.
Mm-hmm.
They see it as so sacred,
Yeah.
as so beautiful, as so incredible that they hold it in high regard.
Yeah.
It's not that there's shame around it at all. It's the exact
like literally on a
opposite.
I had
pedestal.
somebody say to me, like, one of the pastors that I know said to me, you know, like, God created, I don't know if we're allowed to say this. O's.
Orgasms?
Like, can we say that?
Yeah.
I'm like, can I say that on here?
This is our podcast. We can say whatever we
We can say what
want.
we want.
God created orgasms. Like he created that.
Created sex.
He
He created
created
sexual
the
desire,
parts for
created
women.
desire,
All
orgasm.
these. So it's like, it's not that it's not supposed to.
It's not wrong. It's
Yeah,
not inherently
it's not
wrong.
wrong.
And what you just described to me too, when you were saying that extension of love, this love that draws you out of yourself into the other person, like I just want to literally merge with you, is not incorrect.
Yeah.
It's absolutely by design. The
Yeah.
difference is people are going into that merger before the love has been
Right.
established, before there's any foundation of safety, and before there's a real covenant of
Right.
commitment that exists between you and the other person and between you and God.
Yeah. I mean, think about it like this. Father Mike Schmidt, I'm going to get this right. Father Mike Schmitz said this in his talk about the theology of the body, which is a work done by Pope John Paul II. It's an incredible body
So
of work.
good. It's so good.
That's just going to help you see your body through the lens of love, through the lens of God's design. And then on top of that, your sexuality through that lens too. He says, look at your body. Your body reveals something about the way that we are designed to love, because your body doesn't make sense on its own. Like when I look down at my body, why do I have breasts? Why do I have, you know, a vagina? It doesn't make sense on its own. Why do I have a womb? It literally doesn't make sense on its own.
Right.
It points me towards another body.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the point, is our bodies actually point us towards another body.
Yeah.
And that's why sex, what I've started to see it as, is a complete and full gift of self.
Yeah.
If we're looking and doing this and we're looking at the way our bodies are designed and what it's revealing to us about our own nature.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is so important. We talk about, like, sex is not shameful. Sex is not bad. Your sexual desire is good. And I also
Sacred.
think there's a difference between lust and eros.
Yeah.
And that's something I've been exploring for myself too, is what's the difference between lusting after somebody and having eros for the person that you marry
Right.
or, you know, are dating even.
Can you explain eros? Because I don't think everyone knows.
Yeah. So eros is a form of love. And it's described as like the passionate part of love, the romantic aspect of love, like that passion, that fire that just like takes you out of yourself. And, you know, it's kind of like what we see in the romantic movies and romance novels. It's passionate love. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Like that's shared between two lovers. And something that, again, Father Mike Schmidt says in his talk on theology of the body is eros is actually what took Christ to the cross.
Yeah.
It was
His desire
passion,
for
his
us.
desire for us is what led him to suffer for us.
Yeah.
Passion literally means suffering,
Yeah.
because it does feel like a fire in your spirit. It hurts
Yeah.
to want someone that much and to really want to give yourself to someone that much. So that's the difference. And what I've been reflecting on is eros is driving you to give yourself completely to somebody. Lust is wanting to take someone completely for yourself.
Right.
When we're in lust, it's really the sensation that's coming more from the flesh.
Right.
Coming more from, it's that feeling of like horniness. Like I want to experience pleasure with this person's body right now.
Literally using their body for the sake of your own pleasure. Which is how we see a lot of people relating to sex within our culture right now, especially within casual dating and hooking up. It's, I just need to have sex tonight.
Yeah.
Like I need to get laid.
It's that selfish nature.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
It has become that. It's become self-glorifying.
I'm still feeling
like
gross.
Sex has become a means of self-glorification in our culture.
Yeah. And you want to know something also so beautiful is that the more that you kill lust, it becomes a fertilizer for eros. That's something that I've started to notice as I've been actively like killing lust in my life, because when you're killing lust, you're saying, I'm not going to focus now on what I can get from the person and the pleasure I get to experience from them. Your attention is then directed towards the true beauty of that person, their character, the things that go deeper. A deeper level of respect, a deeper level of love is grown and cultivated in that. And there's more of a desire of you to want to give yourself to that person, to dedicate yourself to that person, to devote yourself to that person.
I don't know if you guys have the right language for it, but I would love to touch on the podcast that we just watched from Lila Rose, because I think
talking about the science behind waiting for marriage.
Yes, because that was so eye-opening for me.
Right. Because just because if there's non-believers watching this, like if you're a believer, you know the love of Jesus, you know how it transforms your heart, you know how it starts to convict you towards waiting for marriage. If you're not, that's cool. There's a whole body of work that's emerging right now in terms of the science of sex that is pointing us again towards God's original design of lifelong monogamy with one person.
Right.
So let's talk about that.
Yeah. So where I love to take this first is also something that I've been learning through the study of the theology of the body. And Father Mike Schmitz talks about this in his entire talk around this is when you want to understand the nature of something, you have to figure out what it does. So what's the end result of that thing? So if you want to understand what sex is all about, the design that sex was created for, you have to understand what is the end result of that. And so they talk a lot about how sex itself has two main functions. It's procreative, meaning it creates life. The end result is you create a baby. And it's unitive. It has a design, it has a function to bond people. So when you have sex, you inherently bond with that person, whether or not you're telling yourself that you are. On a physiological level, you are bonding with that person. This is especially true for women because when women have sex, they release the bonding hormone oxytocin, which is the same hormone that gets released when you have babies that literally bonds you to your baby for life, right? So with our bodies, we're telling the story of I'm here for life. Like I will be here forever. That's just naturally what we're saying without actually saying it. Whether or not we mean it, that's what we're saying when we're having sex. So in watching this podcast, we were learning about the difference between how women and men bond. When women bond or when women have sex, for instance, we release the hormone oxytocin. So that's the bonding hormone. Men bond through the hormone vasopressin. And that gets released through problem solving, through like experiences and moments with another person where you're really going through the thick of it together and you're coming out on the other side of it. The way that men are relating and bonding through casual hookup culture is through the hormone dopamine, which is literally like the same hormone that gets released when you go to the slot machine. It's like, okay, it has you coming back for more, but not actually bonding in a way of like loyalty and commitment to that thing. So it's like, essentially, every time that a man comes to hook up with you and then leaves afterwards, he's treating you like a cheeseburger. Like he's coming, he's getting his fix, he's getting satiated.
He's hungry, he's full.
And he's doing this unconsciously.
Unconsciously. He's releasing dopamine, which is giving him a high. It's giving him a quick hit. He feels satiated and then he leaves. For a woman, she's released oxytocin. So when he leaves, it destroys her internally. It's like, oh my gosh, like, are you going to come back because I'm supposed to raise a baby with you?
Right.
And for him, he's like, all right, that was a great burger. I'll come back again when I'm hungry.
Actually, there was another book that I read about this. So that's interesting. Not actually speaking about the science behind it, but they talked about how men, after they have sex, they kind of like feel disgusted by you. Like they're like, I don't really want to be around you anymore. Like they need separation.
Right.
Where women need like that
Closeness.
closeness.
Right, unless
Right.
they're bonded
Unless
to you.
they're
Unless they're bonded to you, right? So what actually creates bonding and loyalty is emotional intimacy. Like the actual emotional intimacy that starts to get a man to release vasopressin, that then creates long-term bonding and loyalty in a relationship. It happens independent of sex. And it's actually needed for sex to now become a place where he releases more of those hormones, vasopressin, oxytocin, whatever it is. So we're essentially learning that like casual hookup culture, or the idea of just like your point of entry into a relationship being a sexual encounter, for most women, there's this sense of like, it would be nice if this could turn into a long-term relationship. It would be nice if this person would want to stay around. It would be nice if this person would want me back. Wanting commitment.
And even if you're not consciously thinking this, your body is internalizing this.
Right.
You have to recognize that.
I can personally say from my own experiences, like that was one of the biggest things I think, again, before I was even thinking about these conversations, like God was preparing me for, because I've had my own experiences. I think so many women have had their own experience where they would hook up with somebody and then like they knew they weren't their person. Like they knew like, I don't know, some qualities about this man is questionable. And yet, why do I feel like I need him right now?
Yeah.
And like they're feeling like I've felt grief in my body.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why am I so focused on this person when what value do they have to bring me, honestly?
Right.
And so there's really is that chemical that like makes you grieve when they're not there.
Yeah.
Even if they're just somebody that you met the other day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And in my experience, the only time where I've seen women being able to be okay with that is when they've desensitized themselves to it.
Right.
They've actually closed off their heart while opening their legs.
And then they tell themselves, I need sex.
Or desensitized to themselves to the impact of having that casual experience with somebody and then having them leave and telling themselves like, it's fine, I wasn't looking for anything serious to begin with.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, more studies are coming out about how casual sex is decreasing our ability to pair bond in the long run. So when it actually does come time for you to make that lifelong commitment to somebody, the bond you're actually able to create physiologically is not going to be as strong.
Right.
So are we confused about the fact that shortly after the sexual revolution started, divorce rates skyrocketed? Because I don't think that is a coincidence. I think that is causation. There's a reason why the way that we approach sex plays out in terms of like how we are able to hold marriage.
Right. Long term.
Yeah.
100%. I mean, even just looking at, again, this podcast we were watching, them talking about how men bond, like long-term bonding for men happens through the hormone vasopressin.
Yeah.
The more they release dopamine, the more the receptors for vasopressin start to close off and shut down. So their capacity for long-term bonding is quite literally eroding. It's shutting down. They no longer have the capacity for it, so long as we are continuing to chase this short-term fix and high.
Okay. So I think we all just gave a little bit about like the education we've received when it comes to sex from a scientific perspective, also from a spiritual perspective of just looking at our inherent design and saying, what can we say about the way that our bodies were created by God, and also understanding what is the texture of God's love and how does that start to play out in the arena of sex. We could also go deeper into that.
Yeah.
You know? So from a more spiritual perspective now, as believers, as people who have been convicted about waiting for marriage, what do you think it was that started to really change your heart around that?
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, what started to change my heart around this was I think I really saw it as oppressive. like when I was thinking about waiting for marriage to have sex, it was really an oppressive thing. And it was when we started having conversations, because I know you started that journey, I started to ask you, well, like, isn't it this, isn't that shameful? Isn't it? And you kind of changed my perspective around God's protection in this.
Yeah.
And I think we've started to share a little bit about that, when it comes to the way we're designed, because we physically grieve. You either shut down or you grieve. Whether you are consciously aware of it or not, chemicals are released.
Yeah.
Right? But we can go even deeper into that.
What's started to change it for me, because again, this has been a more recent conviction on my heart. It's been there lingering in the background, but there's always kind of just been like, I don't really know. And then again, after stepping out of my last relationship, this really was the first thing that God highlighted for me. Mm-hmm. And it's subtle. So the first piece was just starting to understand that there's a decreased sensitivity that you have to sex itself when you've lived out like a whole history of it before meeting your partner. Mm-hmm. Like there's patterns that you're bringing into that relationship now that you have to work overtime. Like sex is the most intimate space there is, which means it's the context of revelation. It's where things get revealed. It's where harm gets revealed, past hurt, whatever it is. You're bringing that into your relationship with your person. And so every single one of us is coming in with all of these patterns imprinted on us already that you have to work that much harder to correct, to get yourself to a point of openness and intimacy with the person that you're being intimate with. Right. And for me, I was like, I don't want to carry that into my next relationship. Like, I truly believe that if God was the one who designed sex, then perhaps there's something that he has to say about it that I'm just not aware of that's going to bring me deeper into that posture of like love and deep, deep, deep fulfillment and long-term fulfillment that I'm looking to have in a marriage that I just haven't learned yet. And I think when that's your orientation of like, how can I really maximize the experience of love that I can possibly have in this lifetime, which is how I've always been. Like, I'm not just trying to get into marriage for the sake of getting into marriage. I want it to be fruitful. I want it to thrive. Yeah. I want it to be life-giving, not just for myself, but for the world around me. Like those who come in contact with me, my husband, I want them to be impacted by that. So when that's the question that I'm asking myself, and I look at marriage being God's idea to begin with, he was the one who created it. He was the one who designed sex for it. Then for me, I'm like, well, is it oppressive or is it protective? Is he perhaps just saying, I want the best for you? As my daughter, I want the absolute best for you. There's a love that you haven't even tasted yet if you would just start walking this way instead. Mm-hmm. You can go this way. I will love you anyways, but I want you to go this way because I want you to experience how good this love can be.
Yeah, okay. So this is so good because I think one of the biggest things that people wrestle with, that I wrestled with, was how do you know it's going to be good if you haven't done it before? It's kind of like test drive the car before you buy it.
Yeah.
Situation. It's like, am I going to commit my whole life to this person and our sex is going to be bad? And
the amount of conversations like I've had with friends, even like myself, like, oh no, it was bad. I can't be with him. Or
that's where I'm like, I come in and I'm like all other forms of intimacy, it's a practice.
But then also we were coming at it from the perspective of not actually being bonded in that way, like not actually waiting and then being with your partner. Like, I truly believe that if God is choosing my partner, then why would he make it bad?
Yeah.
Like, why would he make...
Well, but even not beyond that, like there's going to be moments where your sex will be boring. Right. Okay. Just accept it. Like that's the same way there's going to be moments where your relationship is going to be boring. Like we have to get out of this idea that it just has to feel so good all the time. That's not realistic. Yeah. And there's a world where even in the context of that committed partnership and marriage, you get to work through that with your partner. You get to have those conversations. You get to explore new edges together. But there's a safety that's holding you guys as you do that. Yeah. So for me, it was never a question of like, is it going to be good? I'm the kind of person where I'm like, well, if it's not good, we're going to make it great. Like we'll work at it. Yeah. We'll do what we need to do to build that bond and intimacy with each other. I don't need to test drive that in advance to know, because it's a skill. Yeah. It's a skill that you get to develop together as a couple.
Yeah. And one thing that is killing or getting in the way, I'll say, getting in between the pleasure and the intimacy you can have with your future spouse is all the experiences you're having now.
Exactly.
That's what we are not looking at. And I realized this when I first started dating my boyfriend who was abstinent his entire life. So he's a virgin. And I was asking him these hard questions because I was like, how are you going to know it's good? Right? If you have nothing to compare it to,
Right.
you need that standard of what's good to know something's good. And he said something to me that I will never forget that hit me right in the gut and was one of the first seeds that was planted in my journey of abstinence, which is when I have sex with my wife, I don't want to have anyone else to compare her to. I don't want to have anyone else in my mind.
That's hot.
So,
And I was like, dang,
Period.
like that was actually hard for me to sit with because I realized that no matter what, I was always going to have somebody to compare my husband to.
right.
Jesus makes you clean and new and can give you a virgin mind. That's a whole other conversation. But at the time I wasn't a believer, and it broke my heart a little bit because I realized that because I had had past experiences, it had already started eroding the intimacy and the pleasure that I could have with that person. And he didn't have any of that. He had no concept of what was good. So whatever was going to happen between him and his spouse was going to be good. And I was just in awe of the devotion that he had to his wife before he'd even met her. Like, it was life-changing for me to hear that.
Right.
On the topic of also being like them knowing what to do and all these things, I find it very interesting, something that you said to me, that you learned that the Catholic catechism actually teaches men. And so I'd love for you to expand on that, because I think a lot of women have experienced, a lot of people have experienced this like selfishness from their partner. And, especially the way we're designed, like for a man, that's usually always the case. Like they have an orgasm. But are women going to have that experience in their, and even though it's not always about that, I'd love for you to like talk about what you shared with me, because it's really interesting.
Yeah, something most people don't expect, but something that's taught in the Catholic catechism is that part of the marital duty of a husband is to bring their wife to orgasm whenever they have sex, because that is where the highest release of oxytocin happens, and that is when the highest level of bonding happens.
Yep.
So I thought that was pretty cool, and just shows you that religion and Christianity is not anti-sex. They want you to have great sex. They want you to have the best sex possible.
Right.
Which happens when you have the safety of lifelong commitment.
Right. Well, here's what's also interesting that as I'm hearing you guys speak is also coming up for me right now is sex is important, but it will fade. It will fade. And I don't mean that in the sense of like once you get into a committed, partnership or into marriage, the sex runs dry. I just mean that there will be a moment in your walk with your partner where you will no longer be able to have sex with each other. Like physically speaking, it doesn't last a lifetime. What does? The bond you guys have built together, the experiences you've gone through as a couple that's strengthened you, that's matured you, the love you have for each other, the friendship that you've cultivated. Your looks, everything fades.
Yeah.
It's meant to be that way. It all decays. But the love, it expands, it strengthens over time. So it's like to give something that eventually will lose its value, so much value. It begs to question, like, again, what orientation, what posture are we going into our relationships from?
Right. So let's talk about how waiting for marriage actually prepares you for marriage and actually helps you choose the right partner for marriage.
Right.
Because that's something that has shocked me in all the best ways as I've been dating for marriage and dating without sex and really getting that experience. Because what starts to happen when you don't have sex as the foundation of the relationship is your friendship becomes so much more important. Your friendship is the highest level of intimacy that you actually have as you're dating that person, as you're courting that person. And friendship it's the thing that sets the solid foundation for lifelong partnership. We all say we want to marry our best friend, right? We all you turn to your best friend right now. Text your best friend right now. I bet you everyone at some point has said like, man, if you were of the opposite sex, I would marry you.
Yeah,
Because
literally.
you could just do every day with that person and
Yeah.
and have so much fun. And there's no
Yeah.
like sexual chemistry there, but there's a deeper bond that lasts.
Yeah.
That is like, there's no question about like whether we're gonna do life together. We're doing life
Right.
together,
Right.
you know? And what I have found is so beautiful is when you take sex off the table while you're dating, you get to see how that bond of friendship
Yeah.
actually is. It's in the purest sense because
Yeah.
there's nothing added to it. Not that, you know, you don't have a bond of friendship when you're also having sex with somebody, but when there's nothing else there,
Yeah.
you really get to see, do we just love each other or do we actually like each
Yeah.
other?
Right.
And
of
do we
course.
like each other enough that all we could do is talk
Right.
and enjoy the same habits and or hobbies and activities? And like, we don't have to rely on sex to mend things that we would rather just like sweep under
Right.
the rug. I've talked to friends who have stopped having sex with their boyfriends while they're still dating their boyfriends. And they said, you would be shocked
Yeah.
at how much came to the surface that we had just been shoving under the rug.
Right. Well, because sex has also become a pacifier in our culture.
Definitely.
Right. So it is a place that we go to escape our emotions, to escape the uncomfortable conversations, to escape the triggers, whatever it is, which are all key indicators of a healthy relationship. Can you have hard conversations? Can you process your emotions responsibly? Can you be triggered without walking out of the room with the other person? It's like, it has become a distraction more than it's become fuel for healthy relationships and partnerships. And in the dating phases, like we'll get into this deeper in another episode, but in the dating phases, those are the moments and opportunities where you're not devoting your heart to this person yet. You're practicing your discernment to see whether or not they're a good fit for you. Like that's where you get to have the hard conversations to see if there's real compatibility, because connection can build whether or not compatibility is there. And sex distorts that because you're jumping right into the deepest form of intimacy before you have the right information. And at that point, you can't even see the right information clearly.
Right.
She just went off.
Right. It distorts your perspective.
Yeah.
It interrupts your discernment. You get chemically addicted to that person.
Yeah, like ladies.
So that when red flags come up,
Right.
it's actually so much harder to leave. It's so much harder to
Right.
walk away.
Right.
Even when you know that that person is not
Right.
right for you. We've all been in this situation.
Right. Like
before.
how many
Like, don't lie to
times
yourself.
have you had, have you hooked up with somebody or had sex with somebody who you knew had red flags and suddenly those red flags turn beige?
Literally.
Like it just, it literally, again, it happens physiologically, like
Yeah.
whether or not we're conscious of it. So the standard that you're setting for the quality of relationships that you're stepping into and your own capacity to actually walk that path, like with discernment, with responsibility to your heart as a woman is significantly increased when you take sex off the table.
In addition to that, you want to know something that's required for marriage? Discipline.
Right.
Discipline is required for marriage
Right.
because temptation doesn't go away when you get into marriage.
Right.
BT dubs. There's going to be other people that you find attractive, you and your spouse.
Right.
And if you have no control over your sexual appetite, how much can that person trust you in
Right.
your marriage? How much can you trust them?
Or even trust yourself.
Yeah, that's what I say. Like, trust yourself as well.
Yeah.
If you haven't proven to yourself that that's actually something that you can deny.
Yeah. And if you have, exactly, that's literally it. If you haven't gotten to a place where you've been able to restrain from the thing, whether it's sex, whatever it is, if you haven't gotten to a place in your life where you can consciously put that thing down and step away from it and actually practice a level of abstinence, then you're in bondage to it. And it will continue to rule over your life,
Right.
whether or not you're aware of it.
And I think what it really does is it lets you have a level of trust and safety with that person, because so many of us are coming from homes and from bloodlines that are riddled with infidelity.
Yeah.
It's our biggest fear.
Yeah.
Going into marriage is that we are going to be betrayed. It's why I think a lot of people shy away from ever making that commitment in the first place.
Totally.
And it's because we haven't practiced any sort of sexual discipline,
Yeah.
you know? And when you abstain from sex before marriage, you actually create this like shift in your mind that says sex only happens in marriage. So when you enter that covenant, you're so much better prepared to actually hold the weight of the covenant itself.
Yeah.
Because you've trained yourself, you've taught yourself that sex only happens in marriage.
Yeah.
And when both spouses have done that, that is setting such a solid foundation for two people who are going to be able to stand the test of time, who are going to be able to be faithful to each other, to continue choosing each other, even when there's temptation, even when it's hard, when things get rocky between the two of you, because you never set sex as the foundation in the first place.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's been such a gift as I've like dated without sex. What I found is that there's such a deep level of safety.
Yeah.
Like the
That
fear
safety
of
piece is really it.
infidelity.
I think that's what we're all really after. Is
The
that
fear of
safety.
infidelity is just not there, because I know that he can hold that standard for himself because he wants to.
Yeah.
You know, he wants to. He is submitted to Christ, and it's important for him, his character, for his sense of integrity, that he does it. It's not just because he decided to promise it to me. Like, he's promising it to God first.
Right.
And I think that it's just created so much safety for me.
I have a question for you guys. What would you say to somebody listening that this is speaking to them, and, you know, on their heart, they do see why this is something that they would want to choose for themselves, why purity is something they want to choose for themselves, but maybe are in a relationship or maybe not in a relationship, but do have those fears of not being accepted by the person they're talking to, the person of interest. Like, what would you say to them? And maybe it's even just like prayer, but, you know, do you guys have any advice or just thoughts that you would share?
Yeah. I feel like for the person who's already in a relationship with somebody where they're considering taking sex off the table, even if they've already stepped into that place of intimacy, there needs to be a willingness to have just that honest conversation. I mean, the question becomes, I'm hearing like, do you fear them more than you fear God? Because if there is a part of your heart that's like, I am obedient to where God is calling me, I'm walking this path faithfully, but here's where I'm getting wobbly. It's like, okay, number one, can you bring that to him? Can you be willing to let him see you in that piece? Because I think that's something that we tend to do as well when we feel like we're kind of falling short. We tend to hide. We'll hide from God specifically, and that's the only place that we can go to for real conviction and feel for real restoration and for real grace through that experience. But there has to be a willingness to be honest. You will continue to feel rocky in your relationship until you're honest. You will continue to carry that burden throughout the course of your relationship until you're honest. And that will destroy you internally. It will. It will wither away whatever intimacy you think you actually have.
Yeah. Yeah, something I would say to the woman who's struggling with abstinence is ask yourself what sex is giving you beyond just the physical pleasure. Because when I really look back at why I was having sex in relationship and outside a relationship, it was because I wanted to feel chosen.
Yeah.
Every single sexual interaction I had,
Yeah.
that's what I was really craving, was just to feel chosen. You know, sex provides a lot of emotional fulfillment that we don't always talk about. You're feeling loved, you're feeling seen, you're feeling adored. There's a sense of empowerment you get because you know that you are giving that other person so much pleasure. It's almost like you know that they need you for that.
Yeah.
There is a satisfaction in your soul that's happening. It's not purely physical. I would actually say it's probably maybe 10% physical, 90% a spiritual or emotional fulfillment that you're seeking. So I want to ask the woman who's listening to this, who's struggling with abstinence, where do you not feel fully chosen by God? Like what parts of your heart still haven't allowed the truth that Jesus chose you, that Jesus loves you, that Jesus adores you to penetrate and to soak and to just fill every part of your heart. Because when you're so full with that knowing, when you're so full with his love, when you recognize that the King has chosen you, you don't need men to choose you anymore. You don't need that to satisfy your soul and your spirit. And that's what really changed for me. It was like, as soon as I fully received my daughterhood, the desire and the craving to be validated by men went away.
Yeah.
And so I would take that to him, like, honestly, take that to him. Like Elena said, like, you gotta go talk to Jesus, and you gotta tell him, like, Lord, show me what parts of my heart still haven't fully received your love and don't fully believe that I'm chosen by you. Because there's still parts of me that need to be chosen by the world, by men. But I want you to fill every single one of those parts. I want you to fill every single crack. I think that's going to serve you very well.
So if something in this conversation stirred something in you, please reach out. We would love to hear from you. We know there are so many women who are in the same walk as us right now, who have been wrestling with the idea of purity, who have maybe fallen in some ways and wanting to really step back into that place and that heart posture of really walking God's love out in a bigger way in the relationships. And we want to hear from you. We would love to know how this landed. Reach out to us, DM us, and we can't wait to see you back here again at the altar.